What's up, everybody, or most everybody? I hope everybody made it. How are you guys going there? Is all well? Look, I'm getting some of my space back.
Lucky you.
Barely, barely, but well, just temporary. You see that big pile of boxes? Let's see if I can point at it right there. See all those boxes right there? Yeah, that is stuff to come. So it's not gonna look this way very long. It's gonna look like kind of like that thing over your shoulder right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a big pile of foam. The cardboard, I got a recycling place not too far from me. It's the foam, getting rid of that. So I got one more big thing, that 2x2 Jimitsu that's in the box down there. That's
Yeah.
got a bunch of foam in it as well. So I need to get that unboxed and assembled so that I can make a dump run for, I got, bunch of foam, bunch of pallet stuff, some miscellaneous garage things I need to. But it's like $7 a van load. I mean, I never meet the weight stuff, so it's just minimum charge, right? So I like to,
Throw as much as you can in there.
get
foam doesn't get real. It takes a lot of foam to get like 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd have to have a lot of it to run the weight up.
Yeah,
it's like 89, 90% air.
And I hate that. I mean, this is like one-time use foam, and I use some of it in that video making some camera packing gear and such. But when you get big boxes for things like this or that stuff, it's like, what do you do with all of it? And I hate that it just goes in the landfill. But
yeah, well, that's kind of like Mimotion, the box that the Mimotion Luba 3 was in. It said on there, keep this box for future use. And I'm like, keep it weird.
Yeah.
I mean, where am I going to put it? It's going to get ruined if I try to keep it anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have to sit under a tree. I mean, I have nowhere.
Yeah. So, yeah. I had to toss out the alien cell box. I mean, it's been working well. I've been running it the past 2 weeks. So I'm kind of like, hey, I mean, at this point, I got it. I don't have room to store that box or definitely any of these others. So
yeah,
it's an unfortunate thing when you get these bigger pieces of equipment in. You got the packing material. I like when places use more creative forms of cardboard supports and blocking with a little bit of foam to like add the padding, but don't just fill all the void space with foam. On the flip side, I have pretty good delivery people here. I mean, the FedEx guy has been the same guy. His name is okay. I got it. His downfall is negative. His name is David. So inherently,
it's got to be a great guy.
Inherently, I don't trust him. But no, he's good. He's never like flipping the boxes out of the thing. He's always bringing them up on a hand cart. Bringing them right to the door or whatnot. And so. And kind of the same thing. I mean, generally with the UPS, they're okay, and then of course the freight guys are awesome to work with. But yeah, I mean, I know it's a balance between these things surviving what can be horrible shipping treatment, but at the other side of just piles of foam that get used once, and there's no. I like the packing peanuts that are soy based because they basically just dissolve in water. Need more of that.
Yeah, well, I had to get rid of some of mine today. Of course, my disposal method is slightly different than yours. So it was raining this morning when I woke up, and so it was the perfect opportunity to have a box getting rid of party. And so I grabbed my little propane torch and out to the little burn barrel I went and got rid of all the boxes. But yeah, I had several that I had been hanging on to just temporarily. Oh, can I interest you in a keyboard? So I had a few that I needed to get rid of this morning. So while the ground was good and wet and there was no risk of accidental wildfires, I went ahead and got rid of some boxes. So I did get that done. And then I've been cutting up. You can see I got a stack of stove cover stuff prepped and ready to go. I got 4 of them already engraved. Got all the side bodies. Everything's been sanded preliminarily. I have to sand it more as I put it together because drilling holes and stuff. But the preliminary sanding is done. The engraving is done. So tomorrow it's assembly and finishing time. So I gotta get those out because that's 4 out, and I got 4 more still on the board. So, but those 4 have just recently came in this month. So I think I'm good on those. Typically, I try to have them done within 4 weeks, unless they tell me, "Hey, we need this one like on a turnaround," and then I'll put a little asterisk on my board, and that lets me know, "Hey, go ahead and do this one first." So yeah, but just trying to get some stuff done, make a little bit of cash to finance that trip that we got coming up in August. Luckily, this time they didn't charge me for the motel yet. They said that it would wait until we checked out or whatever that week. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, the other one for CES, you went direct, and I used like the other thing, and they said they were going to do a deposit 30 days out, but the deposit was like a week out. It kind of had me a little nervous. I'm like, I do have a room, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the atom stack enclosure for the big glacier. It does not fit on my table. It overhangs about 2 inches in each direction because it's, what did I just say? It was 52.
Yeah, it was like 52, and then you said with the fan on one side, it's like no 52 and
it's like 47 wide, but it's 52 if you include this little fan unit on the side. But front to back, it's 52 inches front to back, and that's a 4 foot wide by 5 foot wide piece of plywood on my assembly table. So it's going to have to overhang. But I was getting that assembled so we can test that and give their IR module a run, see how it works. Now they do have like a big 5-inch PC fan with a 4-inch port, and then they do have this, as David called it, a nice septic adapter. It's a rubber adapter down to their standard 3-inch port. They say they do say their little air purifier unit will hook up to this, which sure it technically will.
It would choke itself to death with 120 watt, though. I'm afraid.
Right, well, yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot of particulate.
It's a lot of enclosure. I don't know that it's going to have. We'll see how the airflow is, but the nice thing is that it's a 4-inch port coming out of there, so hopefully I should just be able to hook up my exhaust system if need be. But we're gonna give it a go, see how it does, see how it works with that in there. And then I got to see if, I don't know. It's a big enclosure, and it's. The nice thing is it assembles in panels, so you can could take it back apart to some degree, but there's a bunch of brackets that go into aluminum, and I thought I was being smart. I got myself one of these powered screwdriver deals, Yeah. And you can adjust the torque. So 0.5 Newton meters is the lowest on up to, what does this go on up to? 6. But even on 0.5, there were a couple of them where even as I was trying to feather it and not like hold this too tightly, I think I stripped out a couple screws. So that would be my concern about assembling it and disassembling it too many times. Is that those some of those screw locations might not work so well. But if you had to disassemble it for like moving it to a new shop or something like that, it's at least feasible because nothing's like glued together or double-sided taped together.
Yeah, because I know we were kind of worried about how they had put everything together.
There's a few of these out there. IKEA had their own, I think, Sculpt Fun, and they all look very similar. But I know this one's slightly different from the IKEA one. I don't know how different it is from the Sculpt Fun one. But it's got sliding doors on top. So the either front to back or back to front, you can open them up, which is nice. And then it has these little fold down panels.
I mean, yeah, that definitely helps, because part of my problem with that machine was I had no way to contain the smoke with it. I had to, like, when I was testing it, a lot of my testing I did on the porch, or either I just had to open the door and put a fan over there trying to move some air around. So that is a big help that they do have. At least they have an option for those of us who would prefer to have an enclosure like that.
Yeah, you know, if you're getting the laser, you're going to need an enclosure. At least they have an option if you don't want to build one up. I forget the price on it. It's a little pricey. I think it might even be like $400 or so. But yes, you could build something for less. I got this flack on a couple of my I don't know. I had a couple of videos where people were giving me flack about overstating the cost of building one versus. I think it was when I did one of the IKEA enclosures. I tried to compare it to all the parts you'd need, and people say, "Oh, what are you like buying all of these like gold and new?" I'm like, "Well, no, I took standard plywood prices at Home Depot, Lowe's, and all that stuff adds up. The plywood adds up. Sealing it with paint, adding some light and some
the
acrylic.
knowledge and ability to build something like that.
I mean, if you don't have that,
not everybody has the tools to be cutting plywood sheets.
Yeah, it adds up quick. So, and so, especially something this size, it's going to take a few sheets of plywood, and won't be as visible as this one. I mean, you definitely have visibility in this one. So, but anyway, it's mostly assembled. I got to just tweak some things, and then we'll wrangle the laser in there, see how it fits, see if I can get my honeycomb things in there, and we'll see how it handles some smoke.
Yeah. So up, JR. JR is now a neighbor of mine. He is a fellow Alabamian now. So I hope you're having fun down there at the Gulf today, JR. So he ain't got much excuse now for not stopping by from time to time, because he's like right down the road now, technically.
Well, compared to me, he is.
Yeah.
But
let's see what else we got here.
Yeah, I got people rolling in here, and I just saw. Yeah, I like this comment. Enclosure. How much do you value your time? And that's very much true as well. When you're building your own, sometimes you just grab some wood and saw and start making the things as it looks and as it fits. But you can spend some time planning it out. Multiple trips to the hardware store or the lumber store, assembling it, painting it, all that. I mean, this one, I literally put this together in like, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes. I think that I time lapsed. I think it said about 45 minutes for the bulk of it, other than maybe like this fan thing and pulling the plastic off there. So in under an hour, it was assembled. So yeah. Definitely your time can be something to factor in there as well.
Yeah, everybody's situation is different. Got sleepy all of a sudden. What's up?
Yeah, Kevin, something that big should possibly 2 exhaust ports.
As long as we've got an inlet. I mean, you don't want too much. Because I remember, what was it? The Acemer, they had a fan blowing in and one blowing out, and it didn't work like they thought it was going to. What it did was that fan blowing in was causing it to push air out of the enclosure. Yeah. So I ended up having to remove that fan and just run the one fan and use that port where the other fan was as just a free air inlet. So I think having an inlet and an exhaust port is key. But now they need to put like a kind of a baffle or a valve type thing on it also, so that you can turn off or turn up the amount of air that's able to draw through it.
It's on the back side.
Oh, it does have one?
Well, they're not baffles.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, like a little louver, almost like your grill, where you can,
But these are more like those cable inlets. They're about 2 inches, and they've got the little fins on them, so you're going to get some air in through here. And this is by no means tightly sealed. There's plenty of area for, like where the doors meet. There's little gaps up here when you close it. There's little gaps here. There's little gaps along the side. So there's a lot of areas where air can come in. But yeah, if you were pushing air into it, that's also areas where air can get pushed out. So having exhaust ports, 1 or maybe 2, would definitely be good. But
that's like the Creality that I just got through looking at, and I'm thinking the one that you're going to be getting or have got or whatever is going to be the same way. They had it sealed to the point to where the air purifier that they sent, when I engaged it, the top, you can see the top do that. Like it had too much suction inside the machine. Now, it wasn't enough to hurt anything, but it wouldn't have hurt my feelings any had they had included a baffle that you could turn to, to adjust a little bit of airflow, to have just enough negative pressure inside the enclosure to keep everything moving, but not enough that it's causing a strain on the fan. Because when it starts pulling that plexiglass cover down like that, that's actually putting a pretty good bit of strain on the fan itself. And that was literally on like number 1 setting. I wasn't even on the 3rd setting on that thing. Now, on the flip side, I had zero smoke coming out of that enclosure because it had such suction coming in through all the cracks. There was no way possible the smoke was going to come out of them. So there's a balance there.
Yeah.
I think an adjustable air inlet for an enclosure is something that these companies need to look into doing. A lot of them, like you said, there's enough just natural cracks and voids and stuff that you don't have to have any extra. But if you're really sealing it up like that machine did, you need to anticipate that, hey, they may be using a 6-inch fan. I might need more air.
Well, mine's going to have plenty of air inlet because it's overhanging.
It doesn't have a floor.
There's like an inch here and the same on the other side.
Oh, so it doesn't have. That's right. It doesn't even have a floor in it. So
no, there's no floor. And so we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna have to figure out if I can like I might have to tape that up just to see how it, because it's not. If I get smoke leaking out there, that's not necessarily fair that I don't have it sitting on a solid surface. But so I might have to like just mask it off and at least seal
painter's tape. Painter's tape fixes everything.
The bottom enough so that it gets a little bit better test of the actual enclosure. But I guess we'll see. Might need that space for air inlet.
Yeah, if you crank it up to a 6-inch fan, you may.
This one might be one. Laser Labs LLC is asking, so I pulled the trigger on the Polar, currently printing legs on a base for my R1. I know 17-inch or 17 thickness for the Z. How do you figure it for the rotary? Is this like an autofocus question?
I'm guessing. And what by Polar is he talking about?
I'm guessing the Omtech Polar.
See, I don't 17 minus thickness for the Z. I'm not sure what that is. I'm guessing maybe he's using like a fixed Z instead of a relative. I use a relative Z. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. So for mine, I've got the Polar Light, and when I haven't gotten it working with the chuck rotary yet, but I was just using the regular focus off you get your tumbler in there, you get it set up, and then you measure your focus off that like you would any other material. So
my Polar Plus has autofocus.
Follow-up is everything I read says 17 minus the material thickness for the Z. Yeah, I'm not following, I guess. So the only thing I can think of is if they're using an absolute Z, then it would need to come down 17 millimeters minus the thickness. So if you're using an absolute Z, then yes. Like if your Z is at 0, then it's going to be 17. But I use a relative Z in Lightburn, and so mine is relative off of when it touches when the autofocus touches, it sets it there for the Z axis. And the only thing I can think of is unless you're talking about the actual pull off distance for the focus, but I don't think it's quite 17 millimeters with my Omtech Plus. So I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about in there, but focus really doesn't change whether you're using a rotary or whether you're using material. The only difference is like I
personally like to raise my focus on tumblers because I feel like it gives me a little more feathering with the lines as far as keeps me from putting like marks on the material because it kind of feathers it out. Kind of like it's like a really, instead of a really stiff paintbrush, you get more of a smooth gliding paintbrush. And so to me, seem like I get smoother results with raising the focus than trying to pull it down. So I'm not real sure. It's got to be using like a fixed Z, like an absolute Z. I don't know.
Is that even an option?
Because the only machines that I've had to do that with were like, I think it was it was a couple of like the Niji and a couple of others that used an absolute Z, and there was no way around it to where you had to take a number, subtract, you know what I mean? To set the Z, because you had to set the Z offset in the layers. So I don't know. I'm not sure I'm understanding the question completely.
Yeah. Again, I mean, if it has to do with the autofocus, it shouldn't be any different from using it in just flat mode. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You haven't even tried it with the autofocus. Sounds like you're making things harder. I mean, I would get the autofocus worked out in the flat mode, because it's been fine for me. Like Clack says, you can then tell it the Z offset afterwards if you want.
Yeah, like on tumblers, I'll add like a -3, which technically on my Polar Plus, I think it's a +3 because it's for some reason it's backwards. Yeah. But I'll add I'll hit the autofocus and then I'll add like 3 millimeters to do tumblers because that gives me that offset. So I don't fool with absolute Z. I've only had, like I said, a couple of machines that you had to run absolute, and it just makes things more complicated.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree with that. So maybe see if you can get the autofocus working just in regular flat mode, and then it should be a lot easier to then set up your rotary. You just need to get it set up, centered, and then do your autofocus off the surface of the tumbler, and it should be good.
Mm-hmm. All right, JR saying, speaking of airflows, anyone replaced a 4-inch fan to a 6-inch fan on a Thunderbolt? I'm looking to overkill exhaust on not increase the airflow in the cabinet. I don't have a Thunderbolt, JR. We don't all have fancy lasers like that. So I have been thinking about getting one. There's actually one for sale down there near you in Pensacola, Florida, actually. That's on Marketplace right now. That comes with the pie burn chuck and everything. It's been very tempting because I'm not that far from Pensacola, but I've got some sticks in the fire right now, and if it works out, I may or may not want it, so I'm gonna hold off. We'll see what happens. But I'm fixing to have to rearrange some stuff in here more than I already have this week. It's getting crowded.
Yeah, I haven't seen the design on those. A lot of the other ones, it's just a cutout in the metal, and you do your best job to figure out how to enlarge that without making it a mess.
Yeah, I think my recollections from the Thunderbolt up at Tim's shop, I'm pretty sure the fan is built into the cabinet, so you would have to like take that fan out completely if you're going to go with a 6-inch to make sure it doesn't restrict the 6-inch. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Tim's machine, we've run it, and he doesn't do a lot of wood. Most of what he does is like tumblers, acrylics, and anodized coated metal and stuff. But it's never really had a problem with exhaust. So I don't, it just depends. If you got enough airflow through there to keep it clean, I wouldn't go overkilling it too much, especially if you're venting outside, because that's just going to run your power bill up for your heating and cooling.
Down on the Gulf, got big worries about that?
In the summertime, yeah. Yeah, because you're looking at like 100% humidity down there with anywhere from in Mobile. I mean, pretty much every day is over 80 to 85 during the summer, and summer lasts like 5 months here. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be pumping my cold air outside. Now in the wintertime, it'd be great, but not in the summertime.
Well, what would be so great about it in the wintertime?
Because in the wintertime, it's not that like down there this time of the year. It's typically you don't get very many real cold
I
days.
got you. I was gonna say I don't want to be pumping my warm air out up here.
In the summertime, in the wintertime down there, I mean, you're still like, which is kind of like here. It's what's the thing?
Sounds like you need to do the whole inlet outlet thing and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's 57 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of 48 degrees.
Yeah, see, tonight's one of them nights. It's good to like sleep with the window open. So, but yeah, I was running mine today, doing all these stove covers, and I like having the inlet outlet. It's pretty handy. Now I don't know. I said I don't know how it would work with the Thunder. I don't know where you would bring it back in at. That would be the problem.
Well, you make another hole and you tape off all the slots that are in the stock. Yeah, no. Oh, Mark Patterson's asking, watched your latest latest video on UV glass marking. What is the cost of the F2 Ultra, and are there other options out there?
Hang on, let me make sure before I lie to you. As far as the other options out there, there are other options for some situations, but I will tell you this: I have those other options, and I find myself using the F2 Ultra more and more. And the reason being is because so far it is the only UV laser that I've got my hands on that you can actually frame what you're doing without using this goofy thing here. Because this, I mean, if you're doing some stuff, it's okay. Like I'm bad to, just make a jig just to be sure. But this is a little bit of annoying, to be honest. Whereas the camera, you can almost use the UV from X-Tool without framing, almost. But there are some situations to where framing is a much better alternative. But yeah, it's simplicity is a little better, and it's currently $44.9, basically $4,500. So yeah, it ain't cheap by no stretch of the imagination. But then again, neither is any UV laser that I've seen so far.
Yep.
Now, if you like light burn and you've got to have a machine that runs in light burn, then you better not get an X-Tool.
Well, I feel like, across the board, with everybody coming out with their special lasers, with their special things, it's been difficult for them to continue to keep all the light burn functionality. Now, some of them are working with them. So, like a cell laser with their flying Galvo gantry one, they've been working with them on it, and it sounds like by the time they deliver them that they should have full light burn compatibility. But not all of them do that. So, yeah.
Now, as far as like a UV laser for doing flat things, maybe doing some glass on a rotary, in light burn, I like my Omni 1, but you can't do like the crystal engravings and stuff like that. So to me, since the Ultra UV showed up, it's been my go-to for most everything. There's been a few times that I've needed to do like pull things from a spreadsheet. Lightburn still does that better than X-Tool. They haven't added that functionality. I mentioned it to them at CES, it was CES. We talked about it. But currently, if I need to pull like names from a spreadsheet, I have to use a Lightburn machine, which is going to be typically my Omni X right there. And I just put the pedal on it. And so if I'm doing, like name tags or something like that, I can put one down, hit the pedal, put one down, hit the pedal, and just fire them out like that. That is the benefit that the Lightburn machines have currently. But if X-Tool would write the programming, they could do the same thing, because it's all it is converting that CSV format into basically just a dispatch file for the laser. But
the other part of the question is the cost is about $4,500, give or take, a sale going on for the X-Tool F2 Ultra UV 5 watt. not to confuse it with other F2 type lasers.
Yeah, I wish they would change their naming scheme. I really do. All these companies, it seems like it's like they just keep adding words to it every time they change the design.
Yep.
Here's a question, or I guess it's a question. I have an F1 Ultra and an F2 Ultra UV in the house, and I'm thinking about getting a P2 for the garage, but it gets pretty hot in the summer out here. Will that be a problem in the summer with a CO2? It depends.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you mean is too hot. It ultimately depends on how much you're going to use it. If you're occasionally using it, maybe doing a job for an hour and then letting it sit for a bit versus like production run where it's running 8 hours straight, probably not going to be a big deal. The all of the X-Tool CO2s have an integrated chiller. It's not, it's not as big of a chiller as like some of the external ones. So there is going to be a little bit of concern with, the more you're using it in that hot environment, the more it might heat up that reservoir, and then the tube's going to get a little bit hotter. But I mean, I'm not air conditioned out here. I am insulated. It does get hot and humid, but not like 100-degree hot. And I've never had my P2 shut down or give me a hot, a heat warning. Now I've had the P3 tell me it's a little chilly this winter. But yeah, generally the concern is greater when you're going to get too cold at that point. When it's too hot, mostly smart lasers are going to warn you, and they'll either not run the job itself, or it's going to flash plenty of warnings at you to say, hey, I might need a break. So if you're looking at the P2S, I think you're probably going to be okay. Like I say, unless you're planning on running it like hours each day, then you might want to look at something else.
Yeah, I would imagine if you can stand to be in the room with it, it's probably okay. Because it gets, you start getting too small of an area, and it starts getting too hot. You're not going to want to stand in there with it. You're going to be passing out.
Yeah, but
it used to get pretty hot in here before I got the mini split, and I've never had a problem with any of the CO2s getting too hot. Now I've had some get to where they were at that point where, like you said, I'm going to go get a sandwich and let it take a break and cool off and just leave the chiller running for a little while. But I've never had one get that hot. So depends on where you live too. Now, if you live over there with Chris in the Perth, it may be a little different than living in, Maine.
Yep.
Ryan's asking about the mat for the Eufy that I don't have.
Yeah, they reached out to a number of us about this. There's a ultimate jig, I think is what they're calling it. And it's like a alignment system and a mat. If it's the same one, I haven't watched Sam's video yet. It's been kind of a crazy week, but they reached out to a number of the people who had the printers early, and they asked, hey, are you interested in checking out this jig system and this silicone mat system and such? And I was like, I was just too busy, and let other people work on it. Does look like an interesting solution to where it's not going to stick to the mats as long as you can still hold the material down. So yeah, it's definitely going to save some. Honestly, I just have been masking my mats off with some painter's tape.
Yeah.
And that's worked well. I've only gone through a handful of those sticky back mats and such. So, but yeah, it's always interesting seeing kind of like the third party aftermarket mod, go after machines and add their tweaks and things to them.
But yeah, I don't have one of those, so it wouldn't matter to me. Oh.
Had enough. Okay, is asking the Atom Stack P1 1.2 watt IR, does it have its own power settings different from the 5 watt? Yeah, they're gonna be different. I mean, you're generally going to be using them for different material. So you'll need to run through that. I did do some of that. I ran through a number of tests with that one, both the 5 watt and then the 1.2, and tried to put all my settings, at least stated my settings in the video to kind of give you a ballpark. But I think if I remember right, either in the manual or maybe on the USB drive, there was a 2-page sheet that had kind of some suggested settings that you could at least start with. Otherwise, yeah, look at other people's settings for like a 1 to 2 watt IR module. They're all going to be fairly close, at least get you in the ballpark to run your tests from.
Sharon's got a question. Says, can you use a smooth bed plate with PLA? What is the reason you use one over the other?
You can. I've actually, on some of my older, like my Enders and such, I would run a glass plate. So if you wanted a smooth bottom layer, you can do that, but you just need to make sure that, everything is dialed in, and you may need to use a little bit of like hairspray or something for like an adhesion promoter on that one. But if you don't want that textured bottom to it, you can definitely use a smooth plate bed. Some people will even use it'll be a smooth, but it'll have certain textures in it so that bottom part brings that textured part out into the part a little bit. So, but yeah, it's just, you just got to play with your first layer settings to see if sometimes the stock ones work just fine. Sometimes you got to make a little bit of adjustment to it. Ron's asking, how's your Alien Cell X1 doing? I've just been doing the testing on mine. I'm getting through. I got a few more materials to test, and then I'm hoping by maybe midweek I'll have at least my initial thoughts and tests out on that one. But my general short consensus on it is it's working pretty well. The software, I've just been doing it with their included software. I haven't started playing with it in Lightburn yet, so can't speak to that compatibility. But they do have some settings in there for some materials. I've been tweaking those to my liking, but other than that, things are working. Biggest thing I would say about the laser is the acceleration does make a difference. So when doing like the engravings, it definitely is going to be going through those faster because it can get up to speed faster, which means more of the image is done at that speed, slows down and turns around faster. So, it can actually make it to that 600 millimeters a second and take advantage of that speed, where some other lasers are probably spending the bulk of that image getting up to and then slowing down from that speed. So there's definitely a speed increase. I did a kerf test on it, and I was actually quite surprised that both X and Y were fairly close. So I think it's still slightly rectangular, but the difference in kerf, X versus Y was a lot closer than I've seen on other lasers, which means parts are going to fit better. And I think I'm running with on 3 millimeter material, I'm running about a 0.12 millimeter kerf offset, which is a little bit bigger than some of the other machines. But the fact that it's square, working pretty good. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm for the most part, I'm happy with it. It's pretty cool technology that it's faster. Their air pump seems to be working well, and it's smart, so you can adjust. I think you can do it by its percentage. So I think it's very granular that you can adjust the airflow on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. There's a few things in the software I think they could fix. And
there's still a little bit of housekeeping stuff in the software, I think, that they need to.
And the cameras it's got dual cameras. It stitches the photo together. So you're going to get less, on the outer parts, you're going to have less kind of alignment issues. I would still love to see, since they've got the the closed loop steppers in there and the crosshair, it'd be nice to have integrate kind of like that point alignment like X-Tool did with the S1. I mean, they got the button over there. Maybe they can add that down the road, but just if you really need to have precise placement of that, I feel like that might give you a secondary option.
Yeah, it's a very advanced machine, and I like it. I'm kind of curious to see because they've been talking about coming out with a riser for it that's going to raise it up, and I'm curious, and I'm hoping that if they do, they come out with one that is like an auto bed that can automatically raise and lower the material so that you ain't gotta like pull a tray out and raise it up and slide it back in. I'm hoping that it doesn't have to do it automatically, but like where you would have a button that you could push and it would come up and down, kind of like Enclosure Zilla has that I built into it, just to keep from having to physically pull the bottom, because the chrome tray on this thing is not light. So instead of having to pull that out and move that to a different slot, maybe you just push a button and it raises or lowers it to where you can get it within focal range or something. Yeah. I mean, maybe even add a sensor to where it can sense how high or low it is, and it automatically does it. I mean, that's even better.
You want it to be like a X-Tool P3?
Well, I don't know. I don't have an X-Tool P3, so I don't know. If it's like my X-Tool P3, it'll be invisible.
Takes up less space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, MT hasn't been paying much attention. Yeah, I've checked out the Omni X and I liked it when it was a 5-watt, but then when they sent me the 10-watt module with my prototype unit, it has not calibrated properly since. So it's more or less just sitting back there taking up space for a moment. I'm waiting for CommMarker to decide if they're going to give me the solution to fix the problem, send me my 5-watt module back for it or what. But yeah, currently my Omni X is DOA because I can get it to where when I put a shape in there, I can get it to where it'll make it square, but it won't make it the right size. So, but then if I calibrate it to where it makes it the right size, it's no longer square. So there's a bit of a calibration issue with the head that they sent me to replace the head that mine came with. Personally, I think it's just because we had prototype units and they were trying to cheap out and patch what we had instead of sending us a new unit. And I think that's the problem, because if everybody that had ordered an Omni X's machine was doing what mine and Steve's is doing, CommMarker would be run out of town because there's no way we wouldn't have heard about it. Because so far, the only people that's having the problems that I'm aware of that Steve and I are having, well, Steve and I and a few of the other creators, are the ones that got the prototype machines. So I think it's limited to our machines, not the consumer released ones. I think that's safe to say, because I haven't heard anybody else complaining about the problem we're having. Have you?
No, in some of the newer videos I've seen, people are there and they don't appear to be having the sizing issue or the making sure it's not
a bubble.
Yeah, it's square. So yeah, I kind of the same thing with mine. So yeah, other than the pointer thing, the
had it working pretty good. Like, it was cutting and everything, but then I realized that my 5mm squares were not 5mm. But yeah, like I said, I think they decided they wanted to come out with a 10-watt after they had already sent us the machines, and they made some changes. And I don't think the newer machines have the problem that we're having.
No,
which is great for everybody else, but it kind of sucks for us.
Yep. Papa Ragu is asking, if you build your own closure, do you have to paint it, or is it for looks that you paint it? Well, I paint it for a couple reasons. especially depending on the wood you use. It can absorb the vapors and the smoke. And so that inherent laser smoky smell just will build and build and build as it permeates into the wood if you don't seal it. So paint is a good way to seal it from absorbing that. If you use like a cabinet grade paint that maybe is a semi-gloss, it's easier to clean. So like, especially on the inside, as you're cleaning things down, it's nice to be able to wipe that out as well. And then also on the inside, I like to paint it white to maybe if you're building out of plywood, you got a dark box. And so now you got to light it. So having something a little more reflective, if I'm painting it anyway, I will go with like a white paint on the inside. Then on the outside, it's just, durability, also not absorbing things. It's a little more if you want to. I mean, you could just finish it with like a sealant, but it helps keep it in better condition overall. But you don't have to. But the biggest thing for me is not absorbing all the smells that you put through the laser and being able to clean it up easier.
The cleanup is a lot easier. And like you said, the if you're putting lights inside your enclosure, like I painted the inside of mine orange. I don't know if you can see it right now because the lights are off in there. But it does make it a lot brighter when you turn the lights on. There we go. So, yeah. So you can see a lot better when you turn the lights on for sure. Yep. I have been looking at upgrading that 40 watt, but there's nothing better on the market than that one right now. And Adam Stack's done quit making it. I need somebody, if there's any other laser company watching this live that wants to build a 850 wide by 500 deep, 60 watt or so. I'll go with 70, but at least 60 watt diode laser with autofocus. Hit me up. So I really want one. I want to replace my X40 Max with something a little faster because this is a good machine, but you know how the X40 is. The X40's white space scan and everything is just terrible. It's a good machine. It's like a truck. Like you can't kill it, but it doesn't have the speed characteristics of some of the newer ones. But they discontinued it instead of improving the X40 and just improving upon it, adding a powered Z and all that. They killed it, and so now I can't replace it. I'm gonna end up building my own.
The alien cell, that's one thing, is it when it's moving from item to item, especially since it does the input shaping to be able to eliminate a lot of the vibration stuff, it is quick.
Yeah, you'll miss it if you ain't watching. They're like,
Harold's asking also if you had to pick one, S1 or P2S, and you only had room for one, which one would you go with? I guess it's going to depend. For me, if I'm doing more cutting of material, I'm going to go with the CO2 and the P2. It's got a little bit wider working area, and it's going to cut easier. Plus, if you add in, if you want to do any like acrylic, it's going to add those capabilities. Now, if you're just doing a lot of engraving, then the diode is going to be the go-to. The S1 is going to be great at that. It's going to take up less space. It's going to have probably a little bit darker burn on some things. And it's still very capable for cutting of like, 1/8 inch, some 1/4 inch material. But you're going to have more of it's going to be a darker edge on it. It's not going to be the CO2 just is a much more efficient burn. It gives it more of a caramelized look than the diode will for the same thickness material. So those are the two things I would consider between those. Other than that, I mean, it's the cost. Yes, you can get the S1 for less than the P2S.
Yes. Never had the P2S, had the P2, still got the P2. And I like my S1. But I actually, for what I do, I use the S1 more than I did the P2.
So this is probably a follow-up to the earlier one about the P1. It says the 5 watt does well, but may have issue with the 1.2 watt IR, doesn't want to engrave at all. You got to keep in mind that the IR wavelength is going to interact with different materials. So if you're like testing it on wood, it's not really going to have an effect on there. The IR is going to be for mostly more like your plastics, your metals, some synthetic leathers, things like that. Whereas you're going to want to use the 5 watt for more your natural type items. So, like the anodized aluminum dog tags or the stainless steel dog tags, those are things you want to test, or maybe like the painted business card type things. You can test that with the IR, but you're not going to compare it to the same material per se as the 5 watt, unless like the 5 watt will do these as well. The IR is going to give you more of a white look than a clean look. So you got to make sure you're using the right material for the wavelength of each one.
Yeah, and also make sure you're not using the focus tool for the 5 watt on the 1.2 watt, because I'm pretty sure the focus on those two are going to be different. Typically, a IR module, the focus is pretty sensitive.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think that one had the little touch-off probe on each one. So
okay.
I think it's built into each module. Harold, thanks for the super sticker. Always appreciate the support.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
A lot of chatter about Minnesota winters. This week has not been Minnesota winter though. We hit close to 60, and I have like maybe a 5-foot radius of snow in my yard where I shoveled the patio. Otherwise, it's very clean out. Well, it's not clean. It's dirty from all the melted snow and all the stuff that's been sitting on it. But it's not. It's down to what would normally look like a yard.
Yeah. Sparkmark Studio says someone was asking online if they should go with the P3 or the one laser XRF. Do you fellas have any thoughts? Those are two totally different compartmentalized machines, in my opinion. The P3 is more cutting, like thick materials and stuff like that, and a lot larger work area, where the one laser XRF, with it having the RF tube, is going to be more geared towards engraving. Now, it will cut, but the RF tubes typically are designed for instances where you want blazing speed for engraving with really high resolution, whereas the P3 is a tube laser with substantially more power and it's going to be better for cutting. So it just depends on what you're doing with it. Now, the P3 does have a lot bigger work area, if I'm not mistaken, because I think the one laser XRF is basically a Thunderbolt, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's a 25 by 12 or somewhere on there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one's about to. It's a competitor to Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I mean, they are definitely better at engraving. RF tubes have been around for a while, and you definitely can still cut with them. You can't compare wattage to wattage though. The RF tubes generally are going to be a lower wattage for the same capability as a water cooled tube CO2. So I think if you want that speed, the XRF is going to have it. It's definitely going to be faster than the P3. But yeah, if you want cutting space and raw CO2 power, then the P3 might win. The other thing being, I believe the one lasers are light burn compatible, aren't they?
They were, unless they've changed it. Hang on, let me look. Because
So,
I've looked at some of them too.
That might be something too.
Yes, light burn requires Pro though, but
it'll probably integrate better with some workflow if you're used to light burn. The other thing too is RF tubes last a long time. So you're not going to find you're going to have the degradation from that. You don't have the issues with water cooling. They're air cooled. And so there are definitely some longevity benefits to getting a laser with an RF tube. But yeah, to get kind of the same power and working area, you're probably going to pay a little bit more for an RF style than your regular liquid cooled CO2 tube.
Yeah. The 38 watt RF is 4,300, so it's a lot cheaper than the P3, but also doesn't have the depth. I mean, there's a lot of things because you have a riser for this one, and there's a lot of differences. So it just depends on what you're planning on doing with it.
Yep. Rob Fight's asking, speaking of kerf, do you have to figure it out for every different thickness of wood you work with? Yeah, you'll want to do a little bit of testing with that, especially if you go from like 1/8 inch to 1/2 inch material on a thicker laser, because you're going to have a few different things fighting you there, depending on if you can change out your focal lens or not. It's not going to be, it shouldn't be a wide difference if it's in a thinner material that it's fairly easy to cut through. When you get to like the extents, the thicker material that maybe it's pushing the capabilities of laser, you might find that you have a little extra burning that widens that kerf a little bit. Or like I say, if it's thicker, you might have a little more kerf based on just the focal, how the lens focuses. If you want it, if you can get it, that focus spot right in the middle, it's going to minimize that. But it's like I say, it's going to have some slight variations. It also depends on what your tolerances are for having like a super tight fit or close enough. So
yeah,
it's actually more of an issue like different types of materials, I would say. You know, going from a really light like balsa wood to a hardwood, or even like acrylic to, you know, the material differences, how they interact with the laser and burn. There's going to be slight differences there.
Yep. What's up, Cody? How are you, sir?
I gave away one of his bits to a friend the other day.
What? Man, what are you giving away? What are you giving away Cody bits for?
Well,
them things is pretty handy.
I mean, you worked in law enforcement. Any good drug dealer, first one's free, then they come back for more. Although they're going to go to Cody, so I don't know how that works out for me. But
I'd say, yeah, but you're not you're not benefiting from this at this point. You just lost a bit.
No, he's it's a good friend of mine, like going way back to grade school, and helping him get started with a benchtop CNC to see if he wants to add it to his list of tools. So
yeah, I had a friend come over today and pick up a machine and take it with him, and I just realized he had some 1/8 inch bits, but he didn't have any 1/4 inch. So I found some that I'm not sure where they came from, but they're like the purple and yellow, and you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about, like the spiral colors. I was like, yeah, you can have those until you figure out what you're doing. Then you can get some Cody bits, some Jenny bits. But yeah, I had to get my CNC back to where I could use it again. I've had a CNC sitting on it now for a few weeks running it, and I was like, I need to get mine available for some jobs again.
Yeah, I hear you. Papa Ragu, the paint that I was talking about with the enclosures, if you want it to be durable to where you can clean it more, I get at least like a semi-gloss or at least an eggshell. You don't want flat paint because that won't clean as well. But if you really want a hard, durable surface, then some cabinet grade paint as well. But just it's more the sheen. You get like semi-gloss or eggshell for the inside. That will be more durable and more easier to clean. I don't like going full gloss because then it gets too shiny and reflective and such.
Reflections. Yeah. Reflections everywhere.
Yup. Nope. You got one?
Yeah, Jeff saying that I've had an issue with Lightburn. Node editing has stopped functioning as it won't launch when clicking the N key. And when using the icon, it shows a couple of points and a brown node. I haven't experienced this, and I've been doing some node editing. So make sure that whatever you're trying to edit is not grouped. And also make sure that it has been converted to a path. A lot of times if you create a shape or something using one of the tools in Lightburn, it will have it as a shape, not necessarily a path, and node editing won't work. So you have to convert it to a path, then hit node edit. But I haven't noticed any issues. Like I said, I was literally just the past day or two doing some editing on some stuff. and it's working fine. And I've got the most recent version of Lightburn. So
Yeah, I can't say I've run into that issue. So
yeah, the only times I have it to where it won't like it you can click the button and it does nothing is when either it's grouped with something else or it has not been converted to a path.
oh, yep. Yeah. David Pingle's asking, I've never checked the filter on the compressor on my Lasermatic. Where's the filter located? So on the air pump, that's usually on the bottom side. There's like a little inlet there. And I don't remember. It's been a while since I've looked at that one.
I think it's got screws.
Yeah, I think usually there's like 4 screws that hold it in. It's just a little kind of square foam pad that you would look for. So I don't know that I have. Well,
Mine's up in the attic over here.
I'd probably have to get a ladder out to get the one down that's similar to that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
let's see if I can find a
usually
photo.
on the bottom side of those style. So I'm getting caught up, I think.
Yeah, I think. Okay, maybe wait a minute. Hang on. Oh, this actually may be it. I think it's the same pump as this one. So this little piece right here, I think it's the same pump, but this little piece pops off the top. This is not the one for the Rolly, but it's very similar. And I'm not going to climb up in the attic right now and get it, but I'm pretty sure that is the same general design of the pump and the filter. It may be under the bottom. I can't recall.
Yeah, I've seen it both ways, I guess.
But I'm wanting to say it's very similar to this one. But this is a Creality pump. But I'm thinking they're, if not the same, they're very similar. So, but yeah, it should be very easy to get it out. I know the filter that fits that Creality is the same shape as the filter that Rolly Lasermatic sells on their website. It's the square filter with a little square hole in the middle. But mine's up in the attic inside the machine. So okay. Now I've got a similar one. But this is matter of fact, this one's from Algo Laser.
Yeah, that's got it on top.
And it's got a punch here. It's pretty much the same way. It pops out, and then there's the filter. So it's right here. So I'm guessing, yeah, this has been sitting up there for a while. I'm guessing that it's probably the same as that guy. So yeah, I think a lot of these compressors, like the original X-Tool ones, were very similar. Like there's a lot of companies that use this basic design. So it's more than likely going to be just like that. And you saw I just used a little center punch to just pop this off. You could probably use a pencil or whatever. I just wasn't fit to break a fingernail off in there trying to get it.
Is that a proper use for a center punch tool?
Do what?
Is that the proper use for a center punch tool?
Not exactly, but it was. I just needed something a little stiffer than my fingernail.
Roger says it's on top of the Rolly as well. So there you go. Look at that little cover and see if we can find a center punch tool to pop off.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same.
JR's asking the question of considering a model like Moore's Law, a number of transistors on a chip doubles each year. Where do you see the homebrew laser capabilities in like 12 to 24 months?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think water cooled is fixing to catch on a lot more with the diode lasers. Because I think it has to for them to continue to do what they're doing right now. I don't think there's no way around that. So I think more water-cooled diodes are coming. I think right now, maybe they may surprise me, but I think right now the 120 watt is It's probably going to be the ceiling temporarily until they catch on, because I don't think they're moving them as well as they thought they would. And I know this because just the theme in the industry right now, a lot of the smaller machines are kind of coming back around, like they're making another pass. And the big 120 watt machines, until somebody realizes that just because it's 120 watts, it doesn't need to take up an entire building, I think that those machines aren't going to sell. And I've expressed this with a couple of the companies that I work with, that if you will build one that is like 850 by 500, those are like a 2 foot by 4 foot. Those will sell better than a 4 foot by 4 foot for most people that are in this hobby space. Now the commercial folks, I mean, heck, they might want a 12 by 12, who knows? But I think to get the number of units sold that they want to sell, they're going to have to bring the size back down. I think the Glacier, if the Glacier was 850 by 500, I think they'd be selling twice as many as they are now. I think they've reached how much real estate are you willing to commit to a power tool? They've reached that threshold for lasers for most people. Most people wouldn't even want a 4 foot by 4 foot spindle CNC. They would want the 2 foot by 4 foot. And I'll be honest with you. And, I was talking to Bill earlier, and I was like, technically I could have gotten away with the 2 foot by 4 foot, other than maybe 2 jobs that I've done. And even those 2 jobs, I could have put a couple of pinholes in there and did a tile maneuver on it and made it work. But I think they're going to have to bring the size of the machines down a bit before they're going to be able to rejuvenate the sale of some of these bigger, more powerful machines they're coming out with, because it's just, they take up too much space. That's the biggest thing, is those of us who have small shops have to weigh how much space does this thing take up? How much money am I going to make from it? How often am I going to use it? Because those are things that you have to consider. So,
yeah, I don't know that we're going to see. I don't know that, when you look at like diode lasers, I don't know that there's really a benefit to going bigger at this point in power. They are a little bit easier, but by the time you get into that kind of power, you're looking at cutting. You're not looking at engraving so much. You're looking at cutting, and then you're kind of gearing towards CO2 anyway. So I kind of feel like you're right. They need to kind of find the sweet spot for these kind of higher power 60 watt plus machines. They need to get that in a form factor that fits into your typical shop like this. Because, I mean, when you get into this size CO2 laser, you're talking a large footprint, large commercial shop kind of thing. Most people are kind of in that, maybe at most a 3 foot by 4 foot CO2 bed even in some of their larger CO2 machines. But, like the P3 in that 36-inch wide, 18 deep, that's kind of, I think, pushing it for what most kind of small shop working area is going to be. And so, yeah, I think if they get, the higher power diodes into that framework, great. I think the other thing you're going to see in the kind of the homebrew hobbyist kind of thing is the direction we're starting to see more appliance like, more, enclosed, ready to run, don't necessarily have to build or assemble much. And the more they make that into that kind of, the Bamboo Lab experience with 3D printers.
Yeah,
I think that's where things are going to go for a little bit, trying to continue to expand away from the traditional, like, person who likes to tinker or like the woodshop kind of people, and trying to get it more into like the crafters and things like that. I mean, even Xtool with their UV printer, they're integrating it with Xtool Studio, and they're making it very easy to take, a piece from one of their lasers and bring it into the printer using the same software and, print and cut kind of, hopefully they do it to where it's fairly straightforward. So I think you'll see that more in other manufacturers. I also think you're going to see some consolidation. I think there's going to be, more, you're going to see some of the big players continue to be there, but maybe some of the smaller ones get absorbed or continue to fall a little bit. I think there's going to be a little contraction there. But I don't know. As far as where does the technology go, I feel like it's going to, they're starting to push a little bit of the physics limit with Arduino-based GRBL boards. So I think you're going to see more things like this Alien Cell with the Linux boards. It's got more processing power. It can do input shaping. That's going to help as well. So I think they're going to find maybe not leaps and bounds in power and size, but just improving the overall experience, speeding things up, maybe compressing that spot size a little bit more on the higher power, because that'll help both the detail as well as the cutting capability. But that being said, I mean, even your higher power diodes aren't necessarily pushing the spot size that much. They're kind of getting to the equivalent of the CO2s. We got spoiled with these low power, fine spot size diodes with the lower power and the detail. I kind of was like, wow, this is really detailed compared to my 60 watt CO2 at the time with my X-Tool 10 watt. And then going back down to like, the 5 watt and less lasers and even smaller spot size. So
yeah, I was gonna say the 5 and 10 watts now, the dot size are getting even smaller, because like the Creality that I was just doing, they're saying like 05 by 06, whereas the original D1 that I had was like a 08 by 08 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So the spots, even though it's the same output, the spot size has gotten smaller, which technically, if you take the same amount of power and put it on a smaller patch of material, you're technically going to get a more efficient output. So I think, like you said, I do think probably the 120, as far as the stacking diodes right now, I think it's not because they can't make them any more powerful. I think it's because there's not profit in making them any more powerful right now, because they're just not selling them. But the reason they're not selling them is not because it's not cool to have a 120 watt machine to cut stuff with. It's that they thought that if I'm going to make a machine with 120 watts of power, it needs to be a 4 foot by 4 foot, which is not true. And they just don't want to listen to, folks and do that. Laser Tree right now has a 60 watt that's, I think it's 800 or 850 by 600. And it's really got my attention because it's a 60 watt, but it's that, like me and you have talked about, wide and not quite as deep. That's kind of where I think they need to be able to put a machine in your small workshop. That's kind of the footprint you need.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been really eyeballing that thing because if something happens to my Atom Stack A40, I got to do something because right now it's my stove cover beast. And it's going to be either I'm going to jerry rig some stuff together and come up with a machine, or get one from somebody else. So we'll see. But I think like you said, the acceleration, the speed, the efficiency that they move, I think that's the area that we need to address next. Like some of the machines, like what you were saying, like with the Alien Cell, the white space scan on that thing, and the layer to layer movement speeds and stuff like that on that machine is just insane. Like it'll move so fast that you're like, did it move? Did I miss it? So I mean, I think that's where you're going to see the uptick in efficiency now is going to be more movement speed and just agility of the machine versus brute force. I think we got all the brute force we need. Now we need to work on agility.
Yeah. Jared Grady's commenting, I got a nice job this weekend doing 50 24-inch trophy backers out of NBF. They couldn't fit it in their epilogue, so I did it on my CNC. 5 hours for $250. Not bad, and they provide the material. Yeah, $50 an hour in the shop. That's pretty good.
Yeah, because once you get it set up, it ought to be pretty easy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats on that.
Yeah, I love those jobs. That's the one thing I don't like doing like one job 100 times, but that is the one benefit is if you're doing 100 of something, once you get it set up, you get the machines configured. It's really material holding. That's all you got to do. Just material holding and let it go.
Mark makes a good point too. Advantage of the diodes is they can set longer without use, whereas the CO2 wants to be used. That's very much true. If you're occasionally using it, there's just less maintenance and less risk of the diode being occasionally used. Heck, for these open frame ones, you can hang them on the wall like we do, and then bring them down and kind of get them set up. It's not as easy to tuck away the CO2s as is. I mean, even the Glacier with outside this enclosure, I've got it hung up on the ceiling. I can bring it down and use it as needed. But
there's mine hanging over there.
but yeah, it's that's definitely something to keep in mind. Matter of case in point, my last project with the P3 was just like, I haven't used this in 4 or 5 weeks. I need to, exercise it. Otherwise they do, that can accelerate the degradation of the tube if they sit too long.
I like diodes. I do. There are certain jobs that I think CO2s do better. And I really have no need for like a really massive CO2. I need maybe like a Thunderbolt or something to do tumblers and acrylics and stuff like that with. That would be awesome because I like the speed of the XRF or the RF tubes. I like the speed of the RF tubes, but I also like an automatic Z-axis and stuff like that. So if I were to pick my perfect tumbler machine right now, it would be a Thunderbolt with either a pie burn or one of the Chuck rotaries from I don't went blank. What's the other company that sells by default with Thunder? It's not pie burn. Huh? Have you forgotten it too?
Yeah.
It's contagious. Anyway, one of the high end Chuck rotaries, that would be like my perfect setup right now if I were to get another CO2, because I don't want to have a tumbler only machine, but I'm really leaning, Rotoboss. Yeah, I'm really leaning heavy Thunderbolt for a CO2 machine for my shop, because most of everything that I do with the CO2 is acrylics, tumblers, glass, smaller stuff. I don't know that I need a really, really big one, but we'll see.
I still like having the wider bed.
It'd be nice,
but yeah, I don't need a 4 foot square, but like having that 36-inch wide, like the P3 bed size, I really like that. 36-inch wide working area, about 18 inches, 18 to 20 inches deep.
I say 18, I think.
That's kind of a nice sweet spot. It makes the machine not terribly huge, but gives some good working area. But yeah, I mean, that's also me with just some of my model airplane background and such.
Look at there. Look who showed up. Look who the cat drug in. If it ain't Brett.
No. Yeah, he said Rotoboss too.
Yeah, he's got a couple of them. He knows about it. But yeah. But that is, like I said, I don't do a lot with a CO2. And don't get me wrong, I would love to have like a bigger CO2 that I could do stove covers in and do all that stuff. But realistically, the diode setup's working pretty well for my stove covers, because with that pine, I'm getting a nice dark burn. And I haven't hit this with the air hose yet, and it just got sanded. But to be able to do that on pine with a CO2 would be a little more challenging, other than just sand it and engrave it. So,
yep.
So I kind of like my diodes for the stove covers, but I do want, for the tumblers and stuff, I would like to have me a really high speed CO2. Like the Reno 45 does a really good job at being high speed, but they kind of messed me up with the whole controller doesn't do Chuck's problem that I got going on.
Well,
and I've thought about buying a controller.
Segueing in, Viking Winds asking, I need an affordable CO2 suggestions. Yeah, I mean, if you want, other than you run into Chuck rotary.
Yeah, that's the only downfall to the thing that I found.
If you don't need a huge working area, the Reno series, even the non-pro is like $1,000 for their 45 watt. You get a 12 by 16 inch working area. It does require an external chiller. It has an integrated air pump, but I've did a video on how you can bypass that and put your own air in there. It's a nice little unit for if you're doing smaller things and you want to add like acrylic, and some other capabilities there, they have their 65 watt, which is larger. But you also then would want to maybe look at, say, the OhmTech Polar Light, similar size on both those, and similar capabilities. Also affordable. The Polar Light, I think, is about $1,800, give or take. Kind of depends on where the sales are at. Now that's going to be limited to, that's about a 50 watt machine. So you're going to be talking about some 1/4 inch material or less. But it has a nice working area, and everything's integrated in there. So it's not as easy to upgrade like the water chilling or the air assist on that one. So, but those two are ones that I've used that are, kind of in that sub $2,000 range. Now, if you need more working area, you could look at both companies for, their larger case machines. All to kind of just depends on where affordable, affordable for some people
That's
is,
a matter of perspective.
but those are the kind of the lowest budget ones that I've had experience with, and feel for, if you keep in mind, what the limitations of them are, they're pretty decent machines.
The Hurricane wasn't bad. It's not, I don't know if it's, if you're a light burn only kind of guy, which they have their software too, but the Hurricane wasn't a terrible machine, but it's at $26.99. So I don't know how that would fall into the pyramid of affordability there, but it wasn't a terrible machine. And it had a couple of features like the red dot pointer that my Polar Plus that I've got did not have. So, and the work area I think was a little bit bigger than the Polar is. Not a lot, because I think it's like 24 about 12.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's not a bad machine.
Yeah, JR, it would cost a lot to buy the laser safe acrylic for this. This one is the Atom Stack one. There's a few companies that have very similar ones, but this is the one, Atom Stack. When they were talking about the Glacier and such, I said, okay, well, I need an enclosure to be able to actually run it during the winter months, because when I originally had it, I just cracked open the garage door and put some shields kind of on brackets to provide some shielding, but then let the smoke just kind of waft up, and then I had a fan blowing it out. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing that. Well, I could have done it the past couple of days. It was warm enough that it wouldn't have completely frozen me out. But yeah, this is their, it's aluminum rails and acrylic. But yeah, it's about a 100-pound box that showed up with that stuff.
Yeah, I put wheels under mine, so.
Well, yeah, definitely not cheap to buy the laser safe acrylic for that one.
I've got to put that together sometime this week. That's it, sitting there. Yeah. It's huge. That is a massive box.
David Pingle's got a follow-up question. If the alien cell is that quick, does it put strain on the belts that affects maintenance? That's going to be something to be seen. They definitely, it's definitely something to keep in mind, but I think that's also, they tried to keep the head size down. It's kind of square, so there shouldn't be as much the center mass. So if they're kept clean, and kept within check, they should wear fairly well. You can also recalibrate it so that if it does introduce some slop, it should also help catch some of that. But with any of these machines over time, those belts will need some adjustment and possible replacement.
But now it does have 10mm belts instead of the 5s that a lot of the smaller gantry machines have. So they did step it up with the size of the belts.
Yeah.
The belts look more like something off of like a Thunder or something with the 10mm wide ones.
Apparently, the Laser 360 wide is on sale right now, at least in Canada. So maybe you should check that out and make a road trip. Chris is asking, with the speeds of newer lasers, we like to see closed loop steppers being used. Yeah, so you're seeing that in the S1 from X-Tool. You see it in the Alien Cell X1. Definitely think you're going to start seeing that more when they can take advantage of that, because getting that feedback of their location is going to be critical at those higher speeds and the faster acceleration changes. They're gonna want that that extra feedback. So I think you'll start seeing it more. Just seeing it on a couple layers already.
Yeah, it does have some usefulnesses, but I don't think you're going to see it on the budget machines as much because they're going to use what's cheaper, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, JR said he's one of those panels that cost about $60 each, not counting extrusions. Yeah,
Well,
it's what me and Steve had talked about. Is like if you had to buy the acrylic to make that with, it would be pretty expensive. Assuming it's laser safe. Have you put a blue laser inside there to see if you can see it through there or not?
Not yet.
I mean, I'm sure it is. It's the same acrylic they used in the A24, I'm assuming, probably.
But yeah, I mean, this is a large panel.
Good night. You remember the laser enclosure we saw at CES? It's almost like you're making one of those.
That was a sleeping pod.
It looked like a laser enclosure. Oh, yeah. Considering you're like 5'3", that's a pretty good panel.
Right. Well, let's measure it quick.
48.
Well, the panel.
Oh, about
41 wide.
41. Okay.
And just under 20. So it's just a little bit under 2 foot by 4 feet for that single panel. That'd be a chunk of change.
Yep. William saying, did either of you see Rich's review of the Alien Cell X1 machine? I got here late. Do you have one coming? He seemed pretty impressed. Me and Steve both have one. That's what we were just talking about. But yeah, it's a pretty good machine so far. They've still got some polishing to do on the software. But as far as hardware goes, so far I haven't had any issues with the one that I have. There's some mislabeling and some creature comforts in the software, like stuff's not where you would expect it to be and stuff like that I'd like to see addressed. But as far as the hardware and the performance, so far I haven't had any big issues. It's one of the few lasers that I've ever had that I feel comfortable running on Wi-Fi. It seems to do a really good job. So pretty pleased with it so far. And Steve, you've been using yours, but you've only had yours how long now?
I've only had it a couple weeks.
Okay. I've had mine a little bit longer. And I forgot when I got mine. I did a video when I unboxed it and everything, but I've had it quite a while. Long enough to have retooled my work areas and like move some stuff around to make room for it.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, there's an update apparently.
My camera will focus. But yeah. Yeah, and speaking of the area you use, you can kind of tell where I've been running a lot of my tests in the one spot. But yeah, trying to finish stuff up on this in the next day or so and have this out midweek. But so far things have been going pretty well. Like David said, just a few mostly little kind of oddities in the software of maybe could use some better nomenclature or icons. But yeah, it's been doing pretty well for me.
Yeah, there's an update. When I went to launch mine, there's an update. So I don't know if that came out since I put my new computer in or what.
Oh yeah, they recently updated the software. And as a matter of fact, I downloaded it yesterday because I fired mine up again, and I think it just came out the past day or two.
I was fixing to say, because I know.
And then I went to open it again, and there was a revision to the update.
Yeah, I just did that. Now there's a 1.2.1.
Yeah.
And I just installed 1.2.0. So, well, the good news is, guys, they are working to improve the software diligently, because I just installed 2.1 and now I'm installing the other one. So, I mean, they are working to improve upon it. Hello? Oh, I thought I done lost y'all.
Nope.
I was installing software and I got my screen hid, and I'm like, what in the world? I done lost everybody.
But yeah, now it is speaking of footprints, it's a good 3 foot by 3 foot area, including the little fan module on the back. So it's
35 by 38 is what I've got on my piece of tape, because I was doing.
It's a little bit of a
looking
in the boxes. I mean, it's a solid unit, other than putting the fan module on the back, it comes out as big as it is. So, yeah, I think I had to turn it sideways to fit it in the door. I got a 36-inch entry door to the shop, and it's like with on the hand cart, and I'm like, well, now I got to turn it just to get it in the door. So it's a good sized machine. But it's I would say it's like an X2S1 on steroids, as far as just how it feels and how it works.
Yeah, here's let's see. Share screen, talk screen. There you go. See, there is mine. My honeycomb's a little dirtier than Steve's. I've had mine longer.
I don't have the honeycomb.
You don't got a honeycomb?
No, I just have the slots.
Oh,
that's extra.
Well, I got the honeycomb, and I have the blade bed also, but I also have the honeycomb. Matter of fact, I got to do a project. This is the screen. The camera actually works really well. See if I got a piece of wood. Now, I will tell you one thing that I have learned is if the camera's a little bit off, you can tell, because the line is right down the middle of the work area where it stitches those two cameras together. Hey, they fixed the double click thing. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, they fixed the double click thing. And what I'm referring to is I've been having to hit the capture button twice to get it to take a picture, but looks like they fixed that. But you can do there's all kinds of things that you can do. You can adjust. I mean, I know the work area looks a little dark right now, but it's actually got lights inside the machine that you can adjust the power of the light modules and all kinds of cool things that you can do inside here. You can also set it up to where it does by percent rather than watts, or watts rather than percent, whichever way you choose. But yeah, the machine's pretty awesome. I need the what are they calling it? It's the base, the
riser thing.
The riser, yeah. I need to know what that's going to look like. They haven't really released that yet. I'm hoping that it's going to be maybe a powered riser, but that's just me being hopeful. But so you can actually go like measure at select point, and then you can take your crosshair and tell it where to measure there's the line between the two cameras. You can barely see it right there, but you can tell it to measure focus right there, and it'll actually run over there, measure the focus, and then come back. It uses a pen similar to the S1, which is a really accurate way of doing it. So kind of happy about that. But yeah, I've got mine set to slats instead of honeycombs instead of update. I need to fix that. But yeah. And see, the cool thing is it does another image once it see, honeycomb panel. That update messed me up. But yeah, the cool thing is it updates the photo after it sets the calibration on the camera. And like I said, I can change this background, how dark it is. I go ahead and adjust that. But there's a button on the front of the machine in the little in the GUI on the front of the machine, you can actually turn the lights up and down inside the enclosure. And I think I can do it in the camera settings too. I think I can go in and change it that way as well.
Santa's Laser Engraving is asking, any issues with the air assist or fan on the Alien Cell that would make you change over to shop air fan? The exhaust fan, it works okay. I wish they would have made just a little more space where it mounts, because it's really tight to the back. So it comes out, it almost has a 4-inch outlet, but then it adapts down to a 3-inch. They use this kind of hose stuff that it screws into the end when you pop this out. So it works well for their setup, but this is smaller than your traditional 4-inch fan. So for me to hook it into my shop air, I had to make an adapter. I would have liked to just put that adapter right onto the box, the fan module they have, but it's so tight to the frame that there's not enough room. It pushes that box out to where it disengages the pins, and then it throws you in error. So it'd be nice if they had some sort of adapter that you could just replace that whole fan module and just have shop air on, but not have the pin error on. So that's the exhaust thing, but it's been working okay as I've got it. As far as the air assist, I haven't had any problems with it. So this is a cut test I did on Baltic birch, and the cuts themselves, they're just at the start-stop point. There's maybe a little bit, and of course where it didn't cut through, you see it. But on, like, the backside's fairly clean as well. You can kind of just see where the flashback from the rails is at. And then this is with 1/2-inch aspen. Very clean on the top. I haven't sanded this or anything. It's clean on the top, and then the backside, again, it's just kind of the flashback from the where the rails are sitting. So you get some here, some over there, but the rest of it is actually fairly clean for just a small air pump. So I'm actually fairly impressed with it. Plus the fact that you can dial it by percentage anywhere from 10% on up to 100. So that is, and you can do that per layer. So that's very nice. I would be very reluctant at this point to switch to shop air because of that nice ability to dial in. But
yeah, I got to agree with you, because you can set it to go like 10%, 20%, 30%. I mean, it's very customizable and software controlled. And the pump is not quiet. It's not quiet, but it's a different kind of pump. And it's so far, I haven't seen any problem with it being underpowered or anything. Like, it's been doing a really good job. But yeah, David's asking, is there less flashback on the Alien Cell using the bars rather than the honeycomb? Anytime you can take and use bars, like where you can take some of them out and remove them where they're not needed, that's going to help cut down on flashback. But when you're cutting out, if you're cutting out really small things that could fall and obstruct the machine, that's when the honeycomb comes into play. So, I mean, technically, yes, a honeycomb, I mean, the slats technically would probably be a better approach to reduce backflash if you were trying to reduce it. But most of the stuff I do is either going to be sanded, stained, painted, whatever anyway. So I don't worry as much about it. The only time I would probably do something different would be like with acrylics, because especially clear acrylic. But what am I thinking? It's not going to be cutting clear acrylic. But in some situations, if you don't want that backflash, then yeah, you could use the slats and strategically place them so that they're not going to be getting hit as much.
Like engraving the back of a mirror kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would be
I usually space my mirrors up off any work area.
Yeah, you just use 2 rails on the sides and keep the inside nice and open.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, even when I was cutting out some test things, if they're small enough to fall through and get out of the way, that's great. But if they're sitting on a rail, they might go crooked. So that's definitely an issue. But the slats allow better airflow and fewer touch points. So that's that's the benefit you gain from it, but you lose that support of pieces. So,
Yep.
JR is commenting, I'd argue that the P3 is a threat to the Thunderbolt, larger capacity, maybe a touch more expensive. Wondering if I've been exposed to a bolt, and if so, can I compare the two? No, I don't. I haven't had the opportunity to get my hands on a Thunderbolt. I've used some of the larger Thunder lasers. You know, they're your traditional CO2 ones, but not their Thunderbolt with the RF tube and such. It'd be fun to, you know, play around with them for a bit, to give that better comparison. I think speed wise, the Thunderbolt, especially if you're doing a lot of engraving, is definitely going to be the winner there. The P3 has a DSP controller in it, but I still feel like X-Tool has throttled it for accuracy as far as its acceleration.
It's got a lot more mass on the module too, doesn't it?
A little bit, but not necessarily a lot more than what some others. I mean, it's got the whole Z motorized.
It's got cameras and stuff out there on the
there's a little bit, but yeah, I think they've kind of throttled the acceleration, and their software sometimes throttles the speed a bit on their Engrave. So I think for your more hobbyist user, or maybe someone just jumping into a CO2, it's going to be an easier time than them having to learn light burn and such. But yeah, it's definitely for power and working area, it's going to have a beat a little bit.
Yeah, I've got to run the Thunderbolt quite a bit, but I've never seen a P3 other than that up at the CES. That's the only time I got to see one. I did see one on Marketplace for sale the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says it's brand new in the box. But I was like, I don't think I want that. There's got to be a story behind it. There has to be.
I don't know. You finding all these used Thunderbolts and now P3 lasers down there. I'm starting to wonder about people in your area and their buying habits.
Well, the thing about it is most of them so far that I have found are like down around Florida and over into Georgia. It's not a lot of them right here near me. See if it's still listed. Yep, there it is. Actually, this one is. It's in Arley, Alabama. Yeah, it's right there. They're wanting. Let's see how much they're wanting for this thing. $6,000, and they're saying that it hasn't been used. So,
yeah, it's obviously out of the box though. But yeah, it doesn't look like they've taken the screws out or anything. So,
yeah. So there you are, JR, Arley, Alabama, on on Marketplace. I said, well, that's a P2S. It's just white. Never mind. I thought that was another one. I was like, man, there's another one, but it's a white P2S. But yeah, because I go on here and look occasionally because, you don't ever know. You might get that Marketplace find, but the Thunderbolts, I have been seeing several of them. This one that I have been really eyeballing is the one that has the dual air assist. It's in Tallahassee, Florida. They're wanting, let's see, it says, they're wanting 5,300. Of course, retail, it says, is $5,795. So that, to me, I'm like, okay, you're not winning me over with buying it from you rather than Thunder for $400. I get a little more confidence buying from Thunder. You know what I mean? But they do have the pie roller to go with it. So, but they're wanting an additional. I don't know how much that one is. An additional amount. How much was it? $1,200 just for the rotary. And I'm like, okay, that's about retail for that too. So yeah, I'm not finding any good deals. I'm finding some deals, but I haven't found any good deals yet. I'm still looking.
Well, I don't know. I occasionally look for Thunder lasers and such, but I don't see any of the smaller ones like that. It's usually like the bigger beasts that
The
show up.
52s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've been trying to decide what I want to do. And of course, currently, everything's kind of been put on pause right now because of the Chinese New Year. But currently, there's some discussion that I may be getting another CO2 laser in the shop. And there's a possibility that it might be the answer to my dreams. But the more I run that bolt up at Tim's place, the more I want one, because it's so fast at engraving. Like, it is crazy. Like, you can't really record it with your phone. It looks almost like you're trying to record a helicopter flying,
Mm.
It's crazy fast. So we'll see. JR said, I can leave with you for 3 months, make sure it's right. I can go right into Clanton, Alabama at Tim's shop. And Tim, I have an open invitation from Tim to come run his bolt for 8 hours a day if I want to. Matter of fact, he was telling me the other day he might want me to, because he had an order for like 500 acrylic trophies come in. So he's like, I really, if you want to come work with me, I'd be willing to pay you. And I'm like, well, I got my own business to run, so that's a bit of a problem. But yeah, I can go run a Thunderbolt any day I want to, with, a business that's providing me jobs to do and providing me all the tools. But I know how good it is. I like it.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say you'd also, in 3 months you could put a lot of hours on a laser.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, you get it back, it'll be all wore out. It'd be needing new bearings and stuff. Yeah, because Tim said the other day, I think he said he had 500 of the acrylics. It's like a 9x4, I think it is, like a little acrylic, that stands up on your desk. It's like, teacher of the month or whatever. I think he said he had an order for like 500 come in. It's some kind of safety award somewhere at some big company. Pretty sure. But yeah. And he's like, I might need you, because a couple of the ladies that work with him are basically part-time employees, and they've been having like sick kids and stuff like that going on. And he's like, my ladies ain't been able to come to work like they're supposed to, and I might need you. So if it gets too bad, I'll just name my price, and y'all can come see me at CNC Trophy. I told him I'd have to put a camera up in there though, just do a live from CNC Trophy Shop, cranking out acrylics.
Yeah.
Because it blowed their mind when I went in there and showed them how to set up a jig to do 6 of those things at one time instead of doing them one at a time. And I set it up to do Excel spreadsheet imports so that you didn't have to like backspace type. They're like, what? Does that? Yep, it does that. Yeah, Trey Skiller, apparently Thunder lasers are that way. They're like, oh, I know what I got. Don't try to lowball me. And it's like, dude, you're getting the same price with a little bit of, you're literally asking the retail plus tax. Like, you're not even asking retail. You're asking retail plus tax. So, because you're like, I paid $8,600 for it. Yeah, and $300 of that was taxes. Are you charging sales tax now? Oh. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't really have a need to go buy one right now, but if I do run across one of those really good deals, I might snatch one up. But if I was going to start doing like bulk tumblers, like a whole bunch of them, then I would probably go ahead and bite the bullet. But the OMTech's doing a pretty good job for me. The small orders that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, you're gonna need that Vertigo, is it?
Oh, I'd love to have one of those. If they reach out to me and say, "Hey, could we send you one of these?" I'm in. I'll clear out a space to put it. I'm about ready to have a yard sale anyway. My wife made fun of me, by the way,
As she should,
because we were talking about vehicles. Because she's wanting to. We're gonna give Emily, my youngest daughter, is going to get Brandy's car, and she's going to get a new one. So we went kind of peeked yesterday while we were at Lowe's. We peeked at some cars, and we were talking about cars. And I told her, I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. My next vehicle, I'm gonna try to keep my old F-150. I'm gonna try to keep it up and going and keep it, for my going places car. But I told her, I was like, if I bought something today, I'm thinking I'd get one of these used Ford Transits I see everywhere. And she's like, what? And I'm like, think about it. I could literally go get my plywood and my lumber and just throw it in the back of the van, and I mean, it would be so practical. I could get it wrapped, I could put some orange wheels on it, all that cool stuff. But yeah, she's like, I told her, I said, I don't know that I want to drive a minivan necessarily, but the Transit it's kind of a, you know what I mean? Like guys in the trades drive them every day, so I feel like I could handle it.
The problem is the van life influencers have driven the cost of any of the good ones through the roof. So,
well, I was looking on Marketplace though. I found a bunch of them with, they're over 100K miles, but I found a bunch of them for like 10 grand. So, I mean, I'm like, that's not awful. I'd have to put a little money in it, getting it spruced up, but I could come visit with you. I could just put me a little cot back there in the back. I got a battery over there now. I could just like take my little battery over there, bring a cot with me. I can just drive it through, baby. Drive it through.
Yep.
I could do like NASCAR. I could like sell ad space on the back of it and put stickers back there, Be like a rolling billboard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those things, they're all over Marketplace here. I don't know if it's what it is, but it's like they're everywhere. And I found a couple of them that have like seats in them. So you could technically haul people if you wanted to.
Well, you can haul people. You just got to wrap them up in a bag with some duct tape.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Andy Dunner saying. Diamond State saying Econoline. Hey, I just don't know about the Econolines. That's a bit too much van. I've driven one before. We used to have one that our narcotics guys, we used to do surveillance, and we used it to do tack call outs and stuff. And we used to ride in the back of it, and then we'd pull up in the front yard and the doors would blow open. And but that thing, man, you go around a curve too fast in that thing, you'd be rocked up on two wheels before you knew it.
Yeah.
It's a little top heavy.
Yeah, well.
All right, hour and 52 minutes. So if y'all got it, be getting it in.
I had 2 of our 3 vehicles into the shop this week, so.
Ooh. Boy, that somebody was being a chauffeur, weren't they?
Yeah, well, the one was semi-planned. I had a wheel bearing going bad in the van, and it's the wrong season for me to be doing much of my own vehicle maintenance, so took it to my mechanic. And while that was in, the boys' car decided to have a flat tire, and we had a little education about not driving on a flat tire that week.
Oh no!
Yeah. Luckily, the rim was fine, but
they like to have air in them when you drive on them.
What now? In fairness, so there was a screw in the tire. Unfortunately, it was like right up on the edge where they're like your chances of a plug sticking is minimal at best. So in fairness, the tire was probably going to have to get replaced either way. But yeah,
they made sure of it.
Let's just say there were some angels watching out, because the amount of driving that happened on a flat tire sketched me out. So,
mercy. Yeah, somebody's talking about needing a Blue Eddy from my van. Yeah, it's not a Blue Eddy, but it's an 1800 watt. It's not heavy, but it ain't light either. Like this is a pretty hefty little boy there.
Yep.
So that's videos coming. I just got that in. They had reached out to me and asked me about it, and I was like, well, I've looked at getting one for events and stuff, but there's several different brands to pick from, and so they decided to send it to me. They went ahead and sent it to me before the Chinese New Year, so I could go ahead and start using it and getting some experience with it and all that good stuff. I was supposed to be getting some 200 watt solar panels, because this one you can charge off solar, but I don't know where the panels are, or if they just haven't shipped or what yet. But yeah, this is going to go probably, I got the Peace Jam will be in June for sure, but I've got a few other events between now and then. So we'll try to get some use out of it. See how it does.
Cool.
Yeah, see, there goes Ryan. He said, I haven't thought about the same thing, Clack. A little transit also transports dogs good. Yeah, I mean, you could like especially one of the work truck ones that's got it's just got like some insulation in the back of it and maybe like some plywood or some thin, Luan or something. Because there's a bunch of those on there. And some of them even have the crash cage, in the front. It looks like a paddy wagon. But yeah, I mean, you could literally, I could go to an event. I could throw the table, chairs, some lasers, like all in the back of it. Wouldn't need to take the trailer. I could go pick up wood. I could go deliver stove covers, whatever, and all the space I need. So that'll probably be my next vehicle. I just got to figure out how to wrap it, because I got to take it somewhere and get it wrapped where it looks like it's like a NASCAR or something.
Kind of sounds like all the things you can do with a minivan.
Well, yeah, but then I don't have to it's not a minivan per se, because I'm trying to avoid that. Even though I do agree your van is very resourceful, I just don't know that I'm ready to take that leap. I just don't know that I'm there yet.
Okay. Some of us are just, a little more well planted in our security.
Yeah, Gerald Grady said you can have a laser on your boat now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can literally take one anywhere. I've got to do some more testing. It's got a cool look. It connects to the Wi-Fi. It works as a UPS, so you can actually use it as a UPS in your shop if you wanted to. And then if the power were to go out, you can just unplug it and take it with you and use it as an alternative power supply. It's got some pretty useful features. So if you were somebody that wanted to get one for events, but you needed a UPS for your shop too, and you just wanted to kind of get like one tool and try to do both with it, you could do that. Now, I don't know, using it as a UPS, I don't think that would affect the battery life. If anything, I think it might help it because it would maintain it better. But yeah, it has that capability.
Yeah, if they have the true bypass, to run it off of AC power and not just maintain the batteries. That's the problem with the ones I have. I've had each of them for a year to 2+ years, 3 years actually for the original one. You can use them while plugged in, but they're constantly pulling off of the batteries, so you're really abusing the charge cycles on them. But having the bypass mode where the battery management system uses your AC power or your solar power direct to the inverter or whatnot and only taps into the batteries as needed is nice on the newer ones.
Yeah, it's supposed to, from what I can tell, from what I'm reading, it has, because it's got a switch on the back of it, and of course it's got the app too, to where you can change it from battery or set it as like a UPS setup. Either way. So I don't know. I said I'm not 100% sure. I literally took it out of the box and put it on charge and then set it over there once it got charged. I haven't played with it a whole lot. I did put the app on my phone, connected it to the Bluetooth and to the Wi-Fi and all that, and made sure that worked. But you can see, like, here's the app, and it's showing basically the battery, but then it has like a bypass path over there also. So it's kind of, like I said, it's interesting. I gotta play around with it. There'll be a video coming. And it's still at 90% battery, even though it's been a few days since I charged it. I'm guessing between the Wi-Fi and the fact that it's kind of like a drone battery, I'm assuming it's not going to just sit there. It's going to either be discharging or charging, because it's not, these type batteries, typically, they don't want them just trying to stay flat. But yeah, pretty neat. I want to see what all of the power. At 1,800 watts, it should power quite a bit. Chris is saying that all my power stations must have UPS built in for using in my sheds. Yes. I'm gonna say probably 25 to 30. Hang on, let me look it up. I can't remember the name of it. Ferry. Oh, Let's see. Let's see here. Products. Oh my gosh, it's pop-ups. What is it with the pop-ups? P180, 1024 watt. Okay, so here it is right here. That's what I was supposed to be getting, the 200 watt solar panels. Like I said, I don't know if they didn't ship them, or I don't know what the deal is with that. Where's the weight? Let's see if it says weight. Specifications. $11.64 kilograms.
$11.64 is about 25 pounds 11 ounces.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, this little these right here pretty good at telling weight, because I said 25 to 30, and apparently it's about 26 pounds. So yeah, not bad. Cool. And they got it on sale right now. It says it's $5.39, but it's normally $7.99. So I don't know. But I know nothing about it. Like I said, they reached out to me. It was something that me and Steve had talked about. Steve has brought one of his down here and showed it off, and like showed me how well it worked in one of his videos that he did. And then, of course, every time I go to an event, I've got like a standard UPS that's built into my portable shack that I run everything off of. That way, if somebody trips over my extension cord or kicks it over, or my generator runs out of gas, it doesn't kill my power. But this will be the first time I've ever actually had a one of these little power boxes, which I figure I could technically charge up my UPS on my trailer and then plug this into the, you know what I mean? And basically have a battery running a battery, and it should last for a while that way, I would imagine. And then, of course, if it starts getting too low, I can take and fire up the generator, because I got that little Whisper generator. My generator's only I think it's 1,000 watt. So this thing actually is more output capability than my generator. But I did notice that when it was charging, it will only charge, I think it said 1,000 watt input. Like maybe it's 2,000. It may have said 2,000, 1,000. It's got a button on the back you can push, and it changes the input capacity. I plugged it into a 30 amp breaker outside just to see how fast it would charge.
I was gonna say that's a pretty good charge rate.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Like my bigger one, it's like 3 years old now, but it tops out at 200 watts. So if I deplete it, it's like an 8-hour charge.
500 watt or 1,000 watt charge. That's what it says.
That's still pretty nice.
And I flipped it over to 1,000, but I plugged it up outside on one of my 30 watt or 30 amp outlets that I use for my welder, just to be sure. Because I was like, I don't want to plug this into a 12 amp circuit and pop it. So
cool.
Yeah, Kevin, I can't ever keep up. I knew it was about 2 pounds, but when I'm in here during the day, I just echo answers all my questions, so I don't have to do math. Math's it's not my thing. It's not my jam. 2 hours and 3 minutes. Any last questions, comments, concerns that you guys have? So let us know. Santa says I have my F2 on a tool chest that I got from Walmart, thinking of putting a filter and battery on it. That way I have drawers with templates and it's portable. Yeah, you can get creative with your setups for sure. Like I said, my portable setup is on wheels, but it rolls. It's very heavy, and it rolls out of the back of my trailer. And when I roll it out there and set it down, it's pretty much everything I need. My lights, my computer mount, my monitor, the lasers, like laptop, everything is right there. So my little portable setup's pretty neat, pretty nice. I like it. And it's about that time of year to start using it again. So
yep.
Any more comments, concerns? So, Steve, what are you going to be working on this week other than that big, massive box behind you?
Like I said, trying to finish up the alien cell video and then work on getting the Glacier in there for some testing on how this does. Probably try something on the IR module, and then I got to figure out where I can put this. While I might have to build the other CNC machine on there, and or I got to expand this other table over here. But the SainSmart 2x2 is actually about a 26 inch by 26 inch working area, but the machine takes up just under 4 feet by 4 feet. So it's a bit of space. I got to get set up for that machine as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting where I put that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it works. And, yeah.
Well, I have got to do the same. And my little testing table, I think, is 48 by 48 right here. Yeah, just under 48 by 48. So from what you said, I think I'm probably going to have to put the enclosure somewhere else because I think it would set over this table. So it's probably going to end up over on the CNC table because I've got a 48 by 48 usable work area, but the actual flat surface that I can use to set things on is bigger than that. So we'll see. But yeah, I got to get that done where I can get that moved on. I've already made arrangements for it to have a place to live because it can't live here it's just too big. It takes up too much room. Like I said, right now I've got the machine is hanging over there on some brackets I made in front of the garage door. But once I put it in that enclosure, that isn't going to work. So anyway, well, that's what I got coming. I got that, and I got a ASMR 48 watt laser open frame that I'm going to be doing sometime this week. I hope I can get both of them done this week or like started. Maybe have at least some stuff coming out. The enclosure, I feel like that one's going to go kind of quick. I've already reviewed the machine. I've already used it. It works. But I just got the enclosure and the module, and then I'll get that done. That is goal number 1 this week. The 48 watts kind of like number 2. So we'll see how that works out. But anyway,
cool.
Enjoyed it. And I'm going to be playing with this thing. I may just be like playing my PA system out in the middle of the yard or something, but we'll be playing with that too. And if my grass will hurry up and grow, I'm going to fire the Luba 3 up and see how it does on some real grass instead of just like random weeds.
Well, we may get some snow later this week, so I don't think I'll be mowing anytime soon.
Well, too bad you didn't get that snowblower.
Got a carburetor for my snowblower.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys, and have a good day.
Yep. We'll see everyone.